What is up? What is up, everybody? This is Best of the West, and man, it feels so great to be back. It's been a few months, during the summer. It's kind of lull season and not a lot going on, but man, it's week one, and we're back. So we got an awesome packed show for you guys tonight. But I can't do it without my partner in crime, Stacy. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Oh, I'm great, buddy. Just excited to talk some SEC football now that it's finally here, and Tennessee's going to be kicking off here in just a second.
Yeah,
So hopefully we can tune into that here after the show. But we're excited to be here, excited to talk some SEC football.
absolutely, man. I got to say, when I left the house this morning, there was just a crisp little chill.
Yeah,
And I'm like, that means two things. Summer is almost over and fall's getting here. And of course, it's football season, baby. And that crystal chill, I was like, man, it's here. It
yep.
finally hit me that, been waiting all week for this. And then I was like, man, it's here finally. So great to be back. But yeah, thanks, again, thank you all for being here, listening. We enjoyed doing this, but anyway, Stacy, anything you're looking forward to in week one, just maybe just seeing football. That's pretty much my main thing.
Yeah, I'm just glad that football's back.
Hmm.
Obviously, as an Alabama fan, I'm looking forward to watching
Hmm.
Alabama, but I'm excited to see all the SEC teams. It's a new season, so new
Hmm.
faces around the league, a couple new coaches around the league. So just excited to kind of see all that and how things play out here in week one.
Absolutely, and we'll jump right into it now. We'll just go, each team, especially on the western side. We'll start with Arkansas. Arkansas opens up with a fairly tough opponent. They open up with Cincinnati. How do you see that game shaking out, Stacy?
Well, I think Arkansas is the better team.
Yeah,
Cincinnati loses a lot of firepower from that team last year. Sauce Gardner's gone, Desmond Ritter's gone, Jerome Ford's gone. So they're replacing some really talented players from last year's playoff team. And I just think Arkansas kind of has a lot of momentum heading into this year, and we're going to find out a lot about this Arkansas team here in Week 1. But I think Arkansas handles business there against Cincinnati.
yeah, I agree. I think the pit boss is coming in to a really good situation this year. Yeah, they did lose Traylon Burks, but they're hoping is it
Hazelwood.
Hazelwood. They hope that he comes in and replaces some of that production. It's going to be tough. I mean, Traylon Burks was a man out there on the outside, but
I
they're
thought you
bringing
were
back
just to call Hazelwood
Hazel.
Hasselhoff.
Hasselhoff, David Hasselhoff, yeah. But yeah, they still got KJ Jefferson, who's like what 6'7", 250 pounds. I mean, and he's a load to bring down. But they really got a good offensive line. The defense plays really, really good.
Yeah, of course, Drew
Interesting.
Drew
Yeah.
Sanders is there
Mhm.
is there now, and of course, Coach
Yeah.
Saban talked this week about how he could possibly be starting at Alabama this year if he was still in Tuscaloosa. So that's pretty
Yep.
interesting. And I think the plan for Drew Sanders at Alabama was to like he is at Arkansas, playing on the inside. And
Hmm.
I think if he'd have stayed in Tuscaloosa and battled it out, he probably would have lined up beside Henry To'oTo'o as the other inside linebacker this fall.
Yep.
And instead, he decides to move on, and we'll see what he's made of there in Arkansas. And he's probably one of their best defenders right now. So going to be
Yeah.
interesting to see how he plays for the Hogs this year.
Absolutely. I was going to say, I'm interested to see how Drew Sanders does there. I don't blame him for leaving. I mean, he did what he needed to do, and I just
Right.
hope nothing for the best for him. He felt like he wasn't going to make the team this year at Alabama, and he wanted to start. So, he did play on the outside, and the emergence of Dallas Turner just kind of killed any kind of momentum that he thought he
Right.
might have had. So I don't blame him for leaving. He's going to be back there. I cannot think of the other linebacker that's coming back for
Bumper pool.
Bumper Pool. They've got a really good linebacking core there.
Yeah,
So
they do.
Arkansas is going to be a dangerous team this year. And they're probably going to be setting 3-0 when Alabama has to roll up in there, and that's going to be a dogfight for Alabama. So they'll have some momentum going in that game, and they do have it at home. So depending on when they get it, if it's a night game, it's going to be really tough. I think if it's a 2:30 game, I think Alabama. Either way, I think Alabama takes care of business. But more of a night game. Will be in that atmosphere, be a little bit more electric. It's going to be a tough game for Bama, but I still think they can pull it off in a couple of weeks. But
Yeah.
mhm. A&M, Stacy, A&M don't really Texas, we call them Texas 8-4 on SEC after dark, but that's what that's just
That's
their
what they
nickname.
are.
Right, that's what they are. This whole off season with Jimbo and them getting like the 4 defensive linemen for like $35 million or whatever, and all that. Now it's time to put up a shutout. Now I know they're playing against Sam Houston State, but I guess for them, I guess you want to see that defensive line be dominant because I mean you're paying them a bunch of money. Is that kind of what you want to see out of
Yeah,
them?
what you need to see from Texas A&M is a dominant defensive performance, and you got to see some improvement from the offense. Jake,
Mhm.
Haynes King is going to be the starting quarterback
Yep.
for the Aggies, and it's going to be important for this Aggies offense to look competent. And
Mhm.
early in the season last year, I know they beat Alabama, but Jake, they were just very incompetent on offense at times. And Jimbo Fisher's supposed to be a quarterback guru, and
Mhm.
it's time for him to kind of show what he can do. I mean, I know Kellen Mond's in the NFL, Jake, but I don't know. I just don't. I don't see the love that people have for Jimbo Fisher as a quarterback guru. I think that's a little overhyped, uh, in my opinion. And like you said, it's time for Texas A&M to put up or shut up. But I'm with Steve. I think they're Texas 8-4 again this year.
Yeah, yeah, and if you want us to quit making fun of you calling you Texas 8-4, then win 9 games. But you have not shown that you can. Since Jimbo's been there. I mean, Jimbo, he's known for that. He had that one great season, at Florida State, and he really had done nothing at A&M. So
Right.
like you said, they have to replace a lot on offense. I mean, Spiller's gone now, so who's going to be, who is that offense going to rely on this year? Haynes King, he was named the starter, and he showed some promise last year before he got hurt, but when he got hurt, he was playing Colorado, and his stats were terrible in that game before he got hurt.
Right,
So
right.
I
Hey,
I
and
mean,
quick programming note: Tennessee forces a turnover on the very first play
wow.
of scrimmage from Ball State, and the very next play, Tennessee scores a touchdown on a pass from Hendon Hooker. So early on, it is 6-0 Tennessee against Ball State with about there's been 23 seconds come off the clock so far.
Yeah, SEC dominance already.
Yeah.
um, anything else you want to add to A&M?
No, I've said my piece about
Yeah.
A&M all summer long. I'm sick of Jimbo Fisher and his
Mhm.
antics. I'm sick of him being an overhyped coach. I'm sick of A&M being an overhyped program when all they do is go 8-4, and they've never really been that important anyway. I don't know why they think they're important. They've really
Mhm.
really never done anything of significance in their program's history to write home
Right.
about. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sick of talking about Texas A&M.
And I just want to make this one more comment, and may get some flat for it, but it's true. We say it all the time. When Alabama loses, is because of mental mistakes that Alabama causes. That's the only reason why the A
Well,
and
that's
M
not
beat
the
us.
only. That's the
No,
reason why A&M beat us. I mean, Alabama
yeah,
just they were just flat
right.
throughout moments of that game, and
Hmm.
they were just out of sorts. And give credit to
Hmm.
A&M; they made the plays when they had to make them. But
Right.
I mean, it's not because A&M was a better football team. Everybody that
Yeah.
knows anything about football knows that.
Right.
But anyways,
Yeah.
let's move on to the next team. I'm sick
Yeah.
of A&M.
We'll move on to the Sunday game. LSU they open up um, with Florida State. Now Florida State's already played. They played last week on last Saturday, and they had like a Division II school. But both of these programs are coming in, and kind of both of them. One of them's on a rebuild. The other one's in an up and coming rebuild. Um, I think the spread is like 3 on this game, and it's essentially a home game for LSU, but I actually think Florida State can pull it off because I think their team is more complete at this moment than LSU. But what do you think, Stacy?
No, I think LSU's the better team. I think they have a better roster right now. I do think they have a better coach in Brian Kelly than what Florida State has. So
Hmm.
I would give the edge to LSU in that matchup. I think it'll be a good game, but
Hmm.
I think it will be a close game. But I think talent wise and coaching wise, I would give the advantage to LSU.
Yeah, I think Brian Kelly's going to do a great job at LSU. He just needs to stop with the antics a little bit, the family crap and all that.
Yeah,
Just
he's kind of calmed down from all that.
yeah, I was going to say he just needs to calm down and do his thing. But they lost a lot. They really didn't have after Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and all them guys left. They didn't really have a lot coming back. They lost a lot in the portal this past season. So, you know, I don't know. It's going to be. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't know. I just feel like I might be picking Florida State because I feel like they need to win more because Mike Norvell needs a signature win in order to keep his job this year, and maybe against an LSU team, even though they're kind of on a rebuild, maybe that is it. But I can also see LSU winning this as well, so it could go either way.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Um, Ole Miss, Stacy, Ole Miss got a lot of hype on them right now. A lot of people has got them second in the West, and I think they are the second best team in the West. Will they finish second in the West? Who knows? It remains to be seen. But they got a lot. They got a lot of players that they're bringing in from the portal. They got Dart. I think his name's
Jack's
Jackson
hard.
Dart. Yeah,
Yep.
Jack
Zach
Dart.
Evans at running back.
Zach Evans, running back, Michael Trigg, wide receiver. They got some talent. And Zach Evans is one of the guys who was like, I mean, he was a 5-star player coming out of high school, and I think he had a couple issues that he wasn't able to get into to Georgia, and then went I think to TCU maybe or somewhere out there, and I guess he got it right and stayed, got healthy, and now he's coming to Ole Miss. So that's a lot of hype, but can do they have enough talent to challenge Alabama this year? I don't think they do.
Talent wise,
Hmm.
no, they're not. They're not there with Alabama, but there's not.
Hmm.
I mean, there's two teams in the country that are Ohio State
Right.
and Georgia. So, I
Hmm.
mean, but they have talent in the right places. They have really good
Yeah.
skill position players. I think Jackson Dart is going to prove to be one of the better quarterbacks in the country.
Hmm.
So we know that Lane Kiffin is a masterful play caller. So I think what they have on the offensive side of the ball is good enough to beat anybody. But Jake, defensively, that's what it's going to come down to. Can they
Hmm.
make the stops when they have to? And I'm not sure they can, Jake. I'm
Yeah.
really not sure they can. I don't think they're quite there defensively. And as long as they're not, in the upper half of the SEC and in total defense, I don't see how they can compete for an SEC championship because they just give up too many yards and too many points.
Yeah. Yeah. They got to shore up that defense. I think it's going to take a couple more years to do that. But like you said, skill position wise, they're really talented. But I feel like they need to do it this year because there's a chance that you lose Zach Evans. If he has a great year, he can move on to the NFL. So what are you going to have the year after that? You're still going to have Jackson Dart. Yes, you're still going to have Michael Trigg, but you won't have that running attack unless they get somebody like a Zach Evans. I don't know much about Zach Evans, but everybody's been hyping him up. So apparently he's like going to be real legit. But is he going to be able to handle these defenses in the SEC? It remains to be seen.
Right. Well, I think that's
Mhm.
that's obviously something that you got to watch. But I would say that Zach Evans was the best transfer at running back outside of Jameer Gibbs to Alabama. But
Mhm.
and really the difference is the versatility that Gibbs has in the offense, and also as a kick returner. So I would give Gibbs that slight edge over Evans. But Evans is a talented player, and he's going to be one of the better backs in the SEC. There's no doubt about it.
Awesome, awesome. So it's going to be interesting to see what Ole Miss does this year. I don't. I think they can win 10 games. I think that 10th win may be the bowl game. They may finish the season out 9-3. Is that somewhere around
Yeah,
there?
I mean, I would say that's probably pretty close to what they're going to finish.
Hmm.
But they have tough games, Jake. I mean, when you look at,
Yeah.
they'll have to play A&M, they'll have to play Arkansas, LSU,
Hmm.
Auburn. None of those games are easy. And LSU, when you don't play consistent defense at a high level, you can lose any game.
Hmm.
So
Absolutely.
it's just, and that's I don't ever trust a team when I can't trust their defense. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
can they go 9-3 or 10-2? Absolutely, but they
mhm.
could also go 7-5.
Oh yeah, that's true. Talking about trusting defenses, Mississippi State, we know they're going to be very explosive on offense. They got a lot of veteran leadership in the right places there on offense. But man, that defense, it gets shredded every time, under Mike Leach. I mean, he puts out some really great offenses, but his defenses kind of lack on, on some places. But how do you see Mississippi State's year going?
Well, I mean, just kind of keeping it more specific to this first game because we have all year
Hmm.
to talk about these teams.
Yeah.
The Memphis matchup is interesting,
Hmm.
simply because of how close the schools are. Memphis is pretty close to the state of Mississippi, so I'm sure there's a lot of players that'll be playing against each other that played each other in high school or played
Yeah.
together in high school. So that part's interesting. But I think Mississippi State's probably a better team than what Memphis is. Uh, but as far as the season, it's so hard to say without seeing the team yet on the field. Will
Hmm.
Rogers is back. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC. You know that Mike Leach, like you said, is going to have a premier offense in the conference. But once again, like Ole Miss, like a lot of these other teams, Jake, what is their defense going to be like? Look,
Hmm.
I know everybody's obsessed with offense, Jake, but if you can't be consistent on defense, you're not
Hmm.
going to beat the elite teams.
Right. Yeah.
And when you don't beat the elite teams, you can't rise above 7-5, 6-6, maybe 8-4 if the ball bounces your way a time or two. So, they're much like they're slightly below Ole Miss and Texas A&M in my opinion.
Hmm.
Uh, I feel like they're probably a 6-6, maybe a 7-5 team.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, Will Rogers, he has the opportunity. I think he may be maybe the fourth or fifth best quarterback in this conference. I mean, he's pretty accurate and he's really really talented. But I mean, I just like you said, I just don't see how they're going to stop anybody. They may score at will on some teams, but the teams are also going to sort of score at will on them. So I just don't see how they're going to do it. And talking about this Memphis matchup, last year, I mean, or Mississippi State had them beat and just let Memphis come back in and win that game. So, how are they going to respond to that? Are they going to be ready for this, or is they going to have another letdown like they did last year? And I think Mississippi State ultimately wins, but a 16.5 point spread, man, I would take Memphis because I think it'd be
Mm-hmm.
a bit tighter than that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Um,
think I'm thinking a 10-point game or so.
Right, right. So I think it's going to be a lot closer, but I do think, like you said, Mississippi State has the better team, has a better talent. I think they do ultimately win this game. Moving right along to the Plains, Stacey. This offseason for Auburn has been an absolute dumpster fire, and I'm not saying that because I'm an Alabama fan, but it has. I mean, back in February, they're trying to get rid of their coach on some bogus assault charges and all this and that. And then just this past week, they fired their athletic director. So I mean, I don't know where the direction of the program itself is going, but we can talk about that more. We'll talk about this week's matchup. And I mean, they're playing Mercer, but we do know that TJ Finley is a starter for, at quarterback, but outside of, oh, they're running back. He just name just slipped my
Tank
mind.
Bigsby.
Ain't Bigsby. Who do they have as playmakers? I don't know how Auburn's going to fare this season.
Well, I think
Uh,
that's what you got to watch for in this
mhm,
first game of the year is who steps up as a playmaker for Auburn. Because
mhm,
look, despite all the distractions and all the the dumpster fire of an offseason that it's been for Auburn, once the
mhm.
season gets here, you can kind of put that all behind you if you win.
Right.
And look, I have the feeling that if Auburn would get out of Auburn's way and leave Brian Harsin alone, he's probably going to be a pretty good coach for you guys.
Right.
So I think they just need to leave him alone, and he can probably do a pretty good job. Now, if that's this year, I'm not sure, Jay, because I'm not sure about TJ Finley. I think he's an okay quarterback, but I'm not sure he can beat the elite teams in the SEC, and there's a bunch of them, and they got to
Yeah.
play all of them. I mean, they got to play
Right.
Alabama, they got to play Georgia. So, I mean, that's pretty much two losses for the
Oof.
team right there. I mean, they're pretty
Yeah.
much starting the season with two losses.
Yeah.
because I mean, unless something crazy happens, you're not beating either one of those teams
Hmm.
because they're both on the road.
Yeah. That's tough,
So,
tough task.
so good luck. I mean, but
Hmm.
as far as they're obviously going to beat Mercer, Jake, but I'm
Yeah.
just looking for somebody like you said outside of Tank Bigsby and the other kid at running back Hunter,
Yeah.
uh, who is going to
Shockwave.
step up and be a playmaker, especially at the wide receiver position for Auburn.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, you
Because
know
that's
they're going to be pretty sound defensively.
absolutely
Generally
they're
speaking, for Auburn, they're
mhm.
pretty sound defensively.
They're going to rely on the defense a lot this season, and their defense is going to be pretty sound. I think they got a really good defensive front, and Auburn's always boasted a really good defensive front. But offensively, like you said, do can you trust TJ Finley to go up down the
Well, and it's not.
field?
I don't want to put it all on
And
TJ Finley.
it's not all him,
His offensive
right?
line's not great.
Right.
And like we've been saying, who is his playmaker
Yeah. So they've got a lot
outside
of
of Bigsby? Outside of
right.
Bigsby,
They got a lot of questions that need to be answered, and maybe it gets taken care of week one. But like you said, unless something crazy happens, you've got to go to Alabama and you got to go to Georgia. So you're not looking really fair there, and you still got Arkansas, Ole Miss, A&M on the schedule as well. So Auburn could easily lose 6 games, and they can easily win 8 games. I mean, you just don't know about this team right now. So.
yep.
You know, go ahead.
No, I was just
Yeah,
going to agree with you that
yeah.
they're one of those teams that could. It would not shock me for them to be 6-6, and it wouldn't shock me if they went 8-4.
I know. And it seems like that's every year with Auburn's
It
case.
really is. It really
It
is.
is.
They are the strangest program in the country.
They are. I mean, they can either
Look,
go
I'm not saying this as an Auburn fan. I'm saying this as a college football fan. I would hate to be an Auburn fan because you don't know what your team is going to be like.
right.
There's, I mean,
You're,
there's.
you don't know, and I mean they could easily beat Penn State and then have a great season. But if they lose to Penn State, you probably kind of see the ripple effects of it's going to be a long season for you.
Yep.
So who knows? But moving on up to Alabama, Stacey, we say the best for last, but I'm not saying that because they are the best right now in the SEC West, but not because we're also Alabama fans, so we're going to talk about them last because we probably covered them a pretty good bit. But Stacey, their first game, of course, is against Utah State. We've covered it the other night on our show, so if you want to listen to that, go listen to Tide Talk live. We did that on Monday night, I believe. A little discussion we had there, but anyway, cuz Alabama, I feel like it's going to be a special season. I'm not saying that because
Yeah,
I'm an
you're saying
Alabama
that because
fan.
you're not a fan. Yeah, you are.
Yeah, but I mean, we talk about weaknesses. There's really not one on this team that I can see. And when we say weakness, I say weakness as maybe the weak link is the defensive line. We've talked about numerous times, but the defensive line that is coming out this week on the depth chart, I'm excited about to see because I think Tim Smith moving to defensive end that's going to bring out something. And then Jaheim Otis getting a co-starter at nose guard, and DJ Dale and Byron Young. I mean, I'm excited to see what the defensive line does this week.
Right. Well, we talked about, and we've talked about in seasons past, Jake, about when we say the word weakness when it comes to Alabama, you have to take that differently than what you talk about from a weakness for Ole Miss, for instance.
Right.
And I'm using Ole Miss, for instance, because of last season heading into the year, Stephen Willis was talking about the weaknesses of this Alabama team. And he's talking about, well, you don't have a Najee Harris. You don't have, Alex Leatherwood on the offensive line or Landon Dickerson. And look, all that was true.
Right.
But Jake, they're not having to play that team that had Najee Harris and Alex Leatherwood and Leonard. They're playing the teams that are on their schedule. So relative to the competition, Jake, Alabama is just fine.
Yeah.
There is no weakness relative to the competition they're playing. Now, is the offensive line going to be the Alabama standard that it was in 2020 when they just mauled whoever they wanted to? Probably not, because it's a little absurd to think it's going to be that every year.
Right.
Do we have a Najee Harris? I think we do, and Jahmyr Gibbs. He's a little different style, but he's an explosive playmaker. But what I'm saying is you can't say, well, they don't have a Quinnen Williams. Okay, who in the country does?
I don't know if anybody's got a defensive guy like him.
What I'm saying is, are they going to be playing your roster and your talent only matters relative to the competition that you play?
Right.
Tell me a roster that you want to swap with Alabama with.
Nobody.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and I know this. Look, I know for all you SEC fans and fans around the country, when you hear this, you think, "Oh, here we go, another Alabama fan just blabbering." Look, you can call me crazy, you can call me whatever you want, you can call me a homer. I'm just stating the facts. You ain't got to like it,
right?
You don't have to like it. A weakness at Alabama is different than a weakness at Tennessee or Ole Miss or Arkansas. Not that those teams are not good, Jake. But other fans and other media analysts, they're always like, well, they lost Jamison Williams. They lost John Mechie. Okay.
Right.
I mean, how long is it going to take for people to realize that as long as Nick Saban is there, I don't care who we lose?
Exactly.
I mean, he has played for or won the national championship basically 75% of the time that he's been in Alabama.
That's incredible to think about.
I mean, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm playing the smart money, and I'm going to think Alabama's probably going to be pretty good this year.
That's right.
Yep. I don't care what my thought is on their offensive line or their wide receiver situation or their defensive line situation. Oh, they ain't. Oh man, they don't have Jamison Williams or John Mechie. Okay. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Tell me a team outside of Ohio State who has receivers that you would say are for sure better than what Alabama's going to field this weekend.
I can't think of a team, not in the SEC.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I mean, So is it a weakness relative to the competition on the 2022 schedule, or is it a weakness relative to some of the all-time great teams in college football history?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why that is so complicated for people to understand. Right. Now, I'm not saying that Alabama don't have room to improve or that, man, it would be nice to have Jamison Williams on this team. No duh.
Right.
But I don't understand when people just continuously, year after year, season after season, oh, Alabama lost this guy. What are they going to do? They're going to reload, and they're probably going to be back in the Final Four.
Yeah. Because they've been in it every single year.
You can call me arrogant, and maybe I am. I'm just stating the facts. They've missed the playoff one time since they've had the playoff.
One time. Yep.
I think I'm the one playing smart.
I'm not going to sleep on Nick Saban. I ain't going to bet against him either.
I'm not going to bet against Nick Saban, the dude who gets his team to the national championship or wins it basically every season that he's been at Alabama.
Yep. Exactly. I would not play house money with betting against Saban for sure.
There's no doubt. I mean, it's amazing to me, and maybe it's my bias, but I think it's also safe to say that it's other teams' bias and other fan bases' bias towards Alabama. They're sick and tired of Alabama being on top each and every single season. That each year when a new season rolls around, oh, this is the year that it finally catches up to old Nick Saban in Alabama.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, we have said it time and time again, Stacey. If you want to knock Alabama down, just freaking beat them. I mean, like we said, A&M beat us last year, but what did they do the rest of the season? They lost 4 games. So guess what? Alabama won the West again. Oh, I mean, so anyway, but man, it's it was fun. I don't have anything else to add. It's been a great show. Thank you for coming on. We're going to try to do this a little bit more periodically now. I'm fixing to go watch some of that Tennessee game. I'm sure you are too. But Stacey, thank you for joining, and this is Best of the West, guys.
Hey, make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe to the Y'all's Conference Network, and also Tide Talk Live, our show there here on YouTube. So, but thanks everybody for watching, no doubt.
Yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see you probably next week or maybe the week after. But appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good one. I'm out.